There is something wrong with the Galaxy S25 Edge. Let's go. The Edge has received a lot of hate since Samsung officially unveiled it and sort of told us more about it last week. Some of it's definitely warranted, but a lot of it is not. The most common one I'm seeing at the moment is we want thicker phones, not thinner, and usually followed by no one asked for this. Who asked for this? It's sort of what we're seeing at the moment. It's like all of a sudden, this is the only phone in the world that exists and no other smartphone is being sold. Part of making a range of products when you offer something to the market is making just that, a range. Offering something at every sort of point, whether that be price or whether that be style, to suit different needs, however niche they might be. Let's dive into a different category, still within the tech field, but look at laptops. Laptops come in all shapes, sizes, styles, and sort of, designs to suit different needs. You have the beefier, chunkier gaming laptops, which give you maximum thickness, graphics cards with high performance, and in a very thick, heavy design. It's portable because it's a laptop. You can carry it, but they're still massive in comparison to what laptops normally are. But then you get productivity laptops, which I guess in a way can offer you, similar power and performance, but in a more sleeker form factor with a different priority. My perfect example of that is my Galaxy Book 4 Ultra that is running behind me. But then you have thin laptops, ones that sacrifice the gaming and graphical grunt or the productivity prowess of your bigger ones in favor of a lighter, sleeker form factor to maybe fit into bags more comfortably. And it's not just PCs and Windows laptops that offer this. Apple also has a very similar ethos around this as well. You've got the MacBook Pro, which is, in essence, their thicker, beefier, heavier laptop for more sort of intensive workloads. You've got cooling fans, you've got Pro and sort of Max chipsets, and you've got more RAM and more storage options. And then you've got the MacBook Air, which everyone agrees the MacBook Air is worth the sacrifice to get the thinner, sleeker, lighter form factor because you don't necessarily need to do as much. We've just accepted that. Yet, for some reason, smartphones have kind of missed out on this element of having a slim device that sort of has sacrifices in ways that make sense. It's been done before, slim, sleek smartphones, but the sacrifices back then were very, very, very heavy in terms of performance, especially. Almost to the point where those sacrifices make it an unusable experience. And really, what's the point? Just get a slightly thicker phone, especially back then. Phones weren't that thick anyway. So just get a thicker phone slightly and you'll get more for your value for money. But the Edge, and I dare say when the iPhone releases their Air variant, and when other brands start to do this as well, represents a shift, an aim to introduce the thin category within the smartphone space. Without stating the glaring obvious, but I guess I'm going to anyway, there's been some sacrifices to get there, especially on Samsung's version. They've sacrificed one camera, especially if we compare it to the like-sized S25 Plus, no 3x telephoto, and you've got 1000 milliamp hours less in battery capacity. But what you'd pick up, I guess, just to really quickly compare, is the same 200 megapixel camera from the S25 Ultra. It's the same sensor size, the same aperture, same resolution, but in a slimmer package. And you have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which gains dual pixel autofocus for macro capabilities. None of those sacrifices, though, make it bad. It just makes it different. To get laptops thin, you sacrifice RAM modules, and you sacrifice graphics cards, and you use slimmer, less powerful processors so it fits in the chassis easier to reduce the weight of the overall machine. That's a choice that you make to get the aesthetic that you want. With the Edge, you fortunately don't have to sacrifice there because you get the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, the same version that's on the S25 Ultra, and you get the full 12 gigabyte of RAM on here to go along with that. But of course, you miss out on battery capacity. You don't get the 5000 milliamp hour battery or the new silicon carbon tech. You have 39 milliamp hours on here. I just want to give a quick word on battery life whilst I've talked about it here. I'm halfway through day one of using it properly. Pretty much since 5 a.m. this morning, I've picked it up and honestly can't put it down. But the battery on here is actually surprising me. I'm on 52% at 2:30 in the afternoon. So that's almost 7.5 hours of it being on. And pretty much half of that is screen on time, about 3 and a bit hours. It's actually from day one, without even being optimized for my usage settings yet, doing a really, really good job. So this gives me hope that if you use this phone like a normal phone, you'll be okay. And if you want a lighter form factor phone, at least from Samsung right now, that is the sacrifice you might have to be willing to make to achieve it. It's all about weighing up your needs and your wants and choosing the right phone for you because you have options. Obviously, whilst we're here with the battery, it's worth discussing Samsung not choosing to use silicon carbon tech. Had we got here a 4,500 milliamp hour silicon carbon battery, I feel like this whole discussion just washes away. Everyone's happy. There'll still be some people that will go, nobody asked for this. And that's fine. At least at that point, though, you still have the tech inside totally to back you up. The choice, I guess, not to use and adopt that new tech yet is steeped in history. Note 7, although it was that 9 years ago, is still something that happened and you can't avoid it. So there's still right for Samsung to be cautious in their approach. And when they're absolutely confident that tech is ready for them, then I guess maybe with the Edge 2 next year, you might see silicon carbon and an even slimmer footprint. But also, this would have been the perfect device to test it on. Something that's not going to be mainstream enough that if there is any issues, it's not going to impact on a global scale. And you just have a chance to test the waters to see what the response is. We don't have it though. Camera also needs addressing because a lot of people say they like the flexibility of the 3, especially the telephoto. They use it a lot. And of course, if you are matching on price with what you get for the S25 Plus, then yeah, on paper, it's a mismatch. You get more flexibility with the S25 Plus on paper with that 3 times telephoto. But paper doesn't win football matches. You win it on the pitch. Sorry. I'm coaching my son's football team tomorrow and I just got my team talk mixed up with my YouTube talk. Because what you'll actually find is this 200 megapixel camera is better than the 50 megapixel one. And that high resolution makes up for that distance 1 to maybe 5 times. It's absolutely better at the 3 times range because the 3 times is only a 10 megapixel resolution. And at least here it can crop in from 200 down to that middle sort of 12-bit and preserve that resolution. But I understand the argument. Price and then numbers on a spec sheet, it all looks unbalanced. It doesn't look like you should get this at all. 3 cameras, 4,900 milliamp hour battery, 45 watt fast charging with the same size display, make the S25 Plus look at a cracking value proposition on paper. And the cost of the Edge isn't necessarily something you will find on a spec sheet. You can find elements of it here, the titanium frame to make this incredibly thin phone durable and strong to alleviate fears that people would have had over something like that. The Gorilla Glass 2 ceramic, which again is a new technology from Corning that Samsung have put on here, again to protect the overall durability. But then there's the R&D involved, because you're not just sitting around a table in an office and saying, let's just slim the phone down. And everyone just nods in agreement and then they just squash it with a hydraulic press and job done. And everyone claps and nods in agreement and they're all happy. That's not how it's done. You need to make sure that the 8 Elite for Galaxy is sufficiently cooled. So then you need to develop processes to have a vapor chamber that's slim enough to do that inside this form factor. And they did that. The vapor chamber in here is larger than the S25 Plus. They wanted a flagship camera experience. But then they needed to make sure that the 200 megapixel sensor and the whole module could be trimmed down to fit in here without bulging too out from the back. And they've done that. And added a second one. If rumors are true about the iPhone's version of this, it's going to be a single camera. But it always seems to come back to, oh, I didn't ask Samsung to do any of that. Cool. No, you didn't. And no one is saying you specifically did. And fortunately for you, this isn't the only phone in the lineup. If you prioritize battery life and telephoto cameras, this exists. The S25 Ultra is a phone that you can buy. And fortunately for you, it doesn't cost much more than this. So then this is your phone that you get. Or pick another brand that suits your ethos and your needs more towards what you want. You are not tied to anything. You have free will. Samsung make the A36. But there's that energy for those phones aren't the same as this. I don't see people shouting and go, who asked for the A36? Because this phone's not for you. So you just don't pay attention to it. This phone also isn't for you. So just because you didn't ask for it doesn't mean someone else didn't. So break out of your tech bubble. There is an entire population of people out there who don't even know what a processor is. So for them, they might not be looking at battery size. They might be looking at cameras. They might want the aesthetic of this. They might want the lightweight in-hand feel of the Edge. And this is there for them to choose. Debate is healthy. It'll progress us forward. But debate is only healthy when it's done in a healthy way. Absolutely, Samsung could have made life easier on themselves and put in a silicon carbon battery and maybe had the price reduced by $100. Everyone would have been happy. We all would have gone home. But I don't think a battery capacity will determine alone the success or failure of this phone. The success of this phone will be how people respond to its design. Because ultimately, that's what Samsung are showcasing here. Form factor. They want to see how people gravitate towards tech like this. And I think they've done and achieved the design they want. Now it's just up to the consumers to show their response. The price could and maybe should be lower, but to be too low, I think would cheapen what Samsung have achieved here. They have done something quite remarkable, and your brain quite can't comprehend what it is you're holding because you've got a big screen, but it's so light and thin in your hands, which is not what we have been conditioned to have in the last few years. If you value that, then you pay for it. If you don't value that, then you don't. Simple. The Edge should exist, even if it's flawed. Everything isn't perfect on its first go. They should still be here. Hit subscribe to Tech with Benefits. If you're looking for an Edge for yourself, feel free to use the link in the description to pick one up for yourself. And let me know your thoughts if you do grab one. See you guys in the next one. You!